Welcome to Boston's budget listening session, hosted in partnership with the Boston City Council, launched to both educate and solicit public feedback on the city's operating budget and its capital plan. My name is Jim Williamson, Boston's budget director, and during this part of the session, we will outline the budget process and highlight the changes made through last fall's ballot initiative question 1. The ballot initiative both confirmed the changes to the Boston City Council's role in approving the budget, but it also calls for the creation of a new participatory budgeting structure. We intend to ask for your feedback to inform the annual budget development and to hear your ideas about participatory budgeting. This session is intended to be both high-level overview and a listening session. The city panelists will not be prepared to answer detailed programmatic and policy questions in this session, but those questions and comments will be forwarded to the appropriate subject matter experts at the city. First, we can talk about what budgets are for. The budget is a financial document, but it also is a statement of priorities. How a city spends its resources is the most direct way to serve residents and improve their lives. The budget supports both day-to-day operations and services and longer-term investments in physical assets. Why do we make budgets? State law says the city must produce a balanced budget every year. A balanced budget means the city's recurring revenue sources must fully cover what it expects to spend during the year. Without keeping a close eye on what we're spending, we'll be spending more than we're bringing in. Just like your household budget, if we spend more than we make, then we'll have to make very hard decisions. The annual budget process allows the city to revisit operations, review programs, and make adjustments to meet changing needs. Also, a new budget is an opportunity to make strategic investments, to make positive changes, and provide more effective services to residents. When people talk about the budget, they're actually talking about one or two budgets, either operating or capital. Operating budgets are generally funded from steady, predictable revenue sources to fund day-to-day needs of the city government. Capital budgets are larger physical projects, your library renovation, the drainage upgrades to ball fields, the repaving of your street. These big projects are typically funded by bonds the city sells. The city can get lower rates and save money on the bonds they sell with a better bond rating. A bond rating is basically an assessment of credit worthiness. Boston has been fortunate, due in large part to strong financial management, to have the highest possible bond rating. To make an analogy, a bond rating is sort of a FICO score for bond issuers. While the primary focus of this session is the annual budget process and recent changes, we know that many of you are interested in new one-time federal funding. The city has been the recipient of multiple federal funding sources displayed here. To learn more about these and how you can give feedback on how they should be used, please go to boston.gov/recover. The operating budget has two components, expenses, or budget, and revenue, shown here as pie charts. As you can see on the left side pie, the budget, the city spends the largest percentage of its budget on public education at 41%. And that is both for the Boston Public Schools and charter schools. The second largest percentage at 19% is for general government agencies like public works, parks, and libraries. The third largest percentage displayed at 18% is for public safety agencies like fire and police. The fourth largest percentage at 14% is for fixed costs and includes things like pensions and debt service. And finally, the fifth largest percentage displayed at 7% is for health insurance for both active and retired employees. As for the revenue right side pie, it is very clear the city is highly dependent on property taxes. 73% of the FY22 budget is supported by property taxes. The second largest slice is state aid at 13% for both general government and education. The third largest slice is departmental revenue, including things like parking fines and building permits. The fourth largest slice is excise taxes for things like motor vehicles, hotel occupancy, and meals. The fifth largest slice is an amount of non-recurring revenue. Non-recurring revenues include amounts pulled from its fund balance or reserves, and a brand new in FY22, a temporary contribution from federal funds from the American Rescue Plan grant. Here is a list of some of the major program and policy areas covered by the city's budget, ordered alphabetically, including arts and culture, economy, education, energy, environment, and parks, equity for all, health, housing, public safety, transportation. Here is an illustration of the fiscal year the city's budget follows. As you can see, it straddles 2 calendar years. We named the fiscal year after the year it ends in, so we are currently in FY22 and need your help creating FY23. Here is a display of the budget development timeline. Most of these dates are dictated by the city's charter with references to like no later than the second Wednesday in April or no later than the second Wednesday in June. The timeline also includes the fiscal year start and end dates and periods of activity like the budget development period of the winter 2021-22 and the city council review and approval timeframe, April, May, June. Here is what is different now about the city charter and has led to this new collaborative effort with the city council. The city council has for many years been required to act on the mayor's recommended budget by the second Wednesday in June. However, prior to charter change, the city council's powers included options to reject, reduce, or pass the budget. As a result of ballot question 1 passing in November 2021, the city council can now reject, reduce, pass, or amend line items in the city budget. Amending the budget means the city council can reduce certain appropriations and increase others, as long as it stays within the overall total budget submitted by the mayor. Ballot question 1 also requires the creation of the Office of Participatory Budgeting, open to all Boston residents by 2024. Here are the new approval process dates for FY23, also displayed on the timeline. The dates are April 13th, 2022. The mayor will submit a recommended budget to the Boston City Council. June 8th, the City Council will adopt, reject, amend, or reduce the operating budget. The capital budget requires 2 votes on 2 separate days, and this is the date for the first capital vote. June 15th, the budget will be resubmitted to the council by the mayor. And June 30th, the last day of the fiscal year, we expect to have a new budget in place on that day. Public input on the budget comes in many ways. This budget-focused listening tour, for example, is an opportunity for us to hear from you. But in addition, there will be public hearings on overall budgets, as well as department-specific budgets that will get into the detail about programs and policies included in the budget. Please note, and this is a very important takeaway, budget engagement can happen all year long in many ways, like community meetings, block parties, small business openings, school committee meetings, etc. You can also reach out to city councilors, neighborhood service liaisons, or call into 311. You can also call your city cabinet officials or department heads. Often residents engage with all of these contacts at different times and in different venues. So now it's your turn. We're excited to hear your budget process questions and comments, and we strongly encourage you to take the survey linked here. Thank you.